Buenos dias. My name is Jeremiah, and I'm going to talk to you about Java Hibernate and what the heck is it? Pardon my language. Well, it is basically the framework that allows a Java application to talk to a database. Your application, let's say you have an application that needs you to create users, and you need a place to store that data. What's a better way to store that data than in a database? Java needs to talk to the database in a very specific way, but it's kind of hard to do that without Hibernate. Hibernate provides that framework and the tools to be the middleman in between your application and your server. This is how it works. So Java, you need to have a class that's set up just like a table in MySQL or SQL+. You have your ID for a student, first name, last name, email, and then we have getter and setter methods. We send that data via the Hibernate framework, which has drivers, which has tools needed to convert the data and talk to the SQL database in the same form of ID, first name, last name, and email. So as you can see in this picture right here, it's not very confusing in how you need to have it set up. You create a class that's just like a SQL table. You have to have data sets that match the SQL database data sets as well. And I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to look into the following. Eclipse setup with Hibernate components, all of the .jar files that we have and need for that. And then I'll show you the MySQL server we have set up. All of this is free. It just takes the time to find everything to download it. And there are way better videos on how to do this than what I'm showing you today. So, first thing you need is Eclipse, which I use very frequently. And then you need to set up a MySQL Workbench server, which is all free. In your server, we have a local instance called MySQL 80. I go with all the defaults with this. We connect to it via localhost port 3306. So in our Java code, we need to talk to this database. Awesome. So what we do is we write a simple little script. But before we write this code, we need all of the library components for Hibernate. What I've done is I've had, through a YouTube tutorial, gathered source code from a YouTube channel that has things pre-configured. So we have a library already pre-configured with some SQL scripts, such as student tracker. However, in our library, we need to include these Hibernate jar files, which you can find from Hibernate online. So we need to grab all these files How we do that is we can click and drag them into our lib folder here, and then we need to reference them in the build path. It's going to look like this. You're going to have all of these jar files, all the necessary files needed for Hibernate to work. And then we can start calling Hibernate functions like SQL connection, driver manager. So in our Java code, we need to set up a URL, and we're calling to the path of our database, which is all local. So localhost 3306, and then HP student tracker, the database we're setting up. We create a user, HP student, and then that's our password is HP student as well. So let's see if we can connect. Awesome, we connected. We go over here into our MySQL database, and we can see this is here now. To connect, we use the credentials we wrote in there. So we can talk to the database. And just to show you that this this does work. We set up the user HP student and the password HP student, but what if we put in the wrong password credentials here? Let's say that we add an S now. Will we be able to connect? No, because the password is wrong. So in order for this to connect to our database, we have to have the correct username and password. Let's get rid of the S, save it, run it again. Boom, now we can connect. See how that works? There's also the hibernation. Sorry, my cat just snuck into the room and made a whole bunch of things in the closet just fall. So anyways, continuing on. We need to create a config file, a .xml, in order for this to work as well, which is basically the same thing we did in our test connection Java code. We create properties, we make them talk to the database, we pull the driver, we set the connection, we have the username and password. And all this other jargon to help us connect to it. Now, what we can do with this is we can start creating users now. This is how we set up our code to create students. So we are creating tables here. In order to talk to SQL, we need to create entities, and then we have tables. So we create the class student, and then we have a column name. We call each column by its name. So let's take a look at our database real quick. So in these columns, we have ID. We need to set that in our class right here. Column ID. Column name, first name, it matches here. Last name also matches here, along with email. If these are out of order, the data isn't going to make any sense, and it might not even connect to it and work properly. Then we have an empty string here. Now we create the string, a super string, in order for the data to be implemented. Blah, we add all of this to return the data that we need to implement. And then we override it with all these returns right here. Let's run this. Okay. And then we can create a student as well. And I'm still working on this code because apparently this doesn't work either for some reason. So working our way through this. This is your basic Java database setup. We can connect to it. We can plug in data. And we don't need to even do anything with our workbench. This is all done through the Java application. Hope you enjoyed this. Have a good day.